What's up guys, welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. So if you guys missed part 1 of this House of X set review, make sure you go back and check that out first. Like I said in that one, I filmed my whole review part about a week ago and then I shaved, so my beard's gonna suddenly grow out of nowhere. But anyway, this time we're gonna talk about all of the rares, super rares, and chases in this set. Let me know what you guys think about these types of review videos in the comments. I'd love to hear about that. It'll really help me out. Oh, and a quick reminder, again, this set comes out on December the 30th. It was supposed to come out on the 9th, but it's been pushed back to the 30th due to shipping issues. So, without further ado, let's check out the figures. So Iceman has a 9 movement with running shot, 6 range double target, some penetrating blasts, 18 defense, and 3 damage with enhancement. X-Men team ability, 65 points. Starts with a trait that says when an opposing character within 6 squares misses Iceman, give that character a frozen limb token. Characters with 1 or more frozen limb tokens modify attack -1, and when a character with a frozen limb token hits Iceman, remove its frozen limb tokens. Then he has that special on his defense gives him barrier, toughness, and energy shield deflection. So lots of good defense powers there. All in all, a pretty solid version of Iceman. Nothing super crazy, but a good version of Iceman nonetheless. So next we have Rogue, who starts with Hypersonic, Super Strength, Invulnerability, and Battle Fury with a 4 damage. Flight and Indom, 90 points. She has Mystic's team ability, but only for ranged attacks, and she has Protected from the Mystic's team ability, which is pretty nice. Free, choose an adjacent character and a standard power they can use. Until your next turn, she can use that power and has that character's printed range value. So they clearly gave her the Battle Fury, so she can't just range attack right from the start. But even so, I would try and just pick more defensive powers or maybe supportive powers and just really put in work with that Hypersonic and Battle Fury. And don't forget the Super Strength can still knock them back into a wall or something. So for 90 points, she's alright. You should get some Steel Energy there. She is a little underwhelming, but I think she could probably do pretty well if you can manage to steal just the right power. She does also have a lower point line where she starts at 60 points and basically the same, just lower stats and of course less clicks of life. So if I was to use her, I feel like I'd probably go all in on the 90 point line because I feel like the 60 point line is just a little too weak. But again, you know, depending on what you copy, she might actually be able to do pretty well for you actually. So moving on, next we have Vulcan. He starts with the Cosmic Energy team ability, which is basically Power Cosmic. It gives him Protected Outwit and Willpower, which is really awesome. X-Men team ability as well. 140 points is a lot. 7 range, but he starts with Battle Fury. He has a trait that says when he is hit after resolutions, give him an energy disruption token. Modify his defense -X, where X is his number of energy disruption tokens. At the end of your turn, remove his energy disruption tokens and heal him that many clicks. So we saw this once on one of the last Hulk figures from Black Panther and the Illuminati. Similar thing. So every time he gets hit, he loses 1 on his defense, so it's going to make it easier to continue to hit him. But if they don't finish him off, then he's going to be able to heal a few of those clicks back and hopefully hit them back just as hard. He has a special movement that gives him Hypersonic, and when he uses it after resolutions, he may make a close attack targeting a character that hasn't been hit this turn. So in a sense, that's like essentially a Hypersonic flurry attack, as long as you hit somebody a second person that you didn't already hit. But I mean, a 10 movement with Flight and Hypersonic with Precision Strike, with an 11 attack, 5 damage, and Battle Fury. Oof, that's actually a really strong combo, because that's going to get through Shape Change, and it's going to be really hard to use Super Senses. And that's a lot of damage. And you could potentially knock out 2 people with that free secondary attack afterwards. So I'd say he's probably worth the 140 points, especially being Power Cosmic and everything. He does have a lower point value for 75 points. Still starts with that Hypersonic, Speed, and Penetrating Blast and Outwit. Only 4 clicks of life though. If he started with Invincible instead of Invulnerability, I'd say it's probably worth it. But the fact that he can be Penetrating Blasted straight through, I don't think I'd risk the 75 points. I think I'd go all in on the 140 with him. But now the rare Prime figure, Emperor Vulcan. This guy is insane. So he's got an 8 range double target, 11 movement with running shot and flight, 12 attack penetrating blast, 19 with impervious, and 4 damage with a special. He also, of course, has that Cosmic Energy team ability to give him essentially Power Cosmic. Then he has a trait that gives him Pulse Wave, so he can Running Shot Penetrating Blast or Running Shot Pulse Wave, whatever you might need. But he can also reduce penetrating damage and has Protected Pulse Wave. So not only can he reduce penetrating damage with his Impervious, it can't be outwitted because of his team ability, and he's protected from Pulse Wave, as in every part of him is protected from Pulse Wave. So there's almost nothing you can do to get through his defenses other than just hitting a 19 and hoping he doesn't roll the impervious. He's very, very well defended that way. He's got a special defense power, which just gives him stop and invuln. He's got that in click number 4 and on click number 10, and I'll just say 10 clicks of life. All of that kind of defensive stuff with the protected pulse wave, protected outwit, can reduce penetrating damage. And 2 stop clicks on top of all that, it's insane. This guy's gonna be so hard to take down, even for 175 points. This guy could have easily been like 300 points a few years ago, and I would not have batted an eye at it. This guy is insane. But then he also has a special on his damage that gives him leadership, and when another friendly character that shares a keyword KOs an opposing character after resolutions, remove an action token from that character and Emperor Vulcan. So leadership is nice, but it really helps to team him up with a decent character that shares a keyword with him, because if they KO something, then you get to remove an action token from both of them. That's insane. That's practically like having Colossal Stamina in a way. And speaking of keywords, he does have Cosmic, Imperial Guard, Ruler, and Shi'ar. And, Imperial Guard and Shi'ar are not amazing keywords. They're not bad. There's some cool stuff in there, but Ruler and Cosmic are 2 of the best generic keywords. Cosmic, of course, being one of the best, definitely, and Ruler is good, but even better because you can bring him onto a Spider-Man family theme team thanks to something like, Spider-Pharaoh chase. So I think there's some crazy stuff that could be done with this guy, and I think he's going to be a top want of primes for sure. He does also, again, have a lower point line for 90 points, which isn't bad, but again, I think, invest in the full 175 point line because it's just going to offer you so much. And another thing I wanted to point out is this dude's damage never goes below a 4. And then at the end he gets some range combat expert and he goes up to a 5 with a 12 attack. So this dude's damage potential is nuts for the points. But yeah, I really like him. Definitely one of my most wanted primes for sure. But I've talked enough about him. Moving on to Prestige. The next rare figure, she's got 7 range double target with mind control, 11 attack with precision strike, 17 super senses, 1 damage, 75 points. She's got a stop click with toughness and willpower there on her last click with a 19 defense and some running shot pulse wave for 4 damage. So I think for 75 points, definitely very solid. She also has a damage power that gives her outwit, and at the beginning of your turn you may choose a friendly character within range and line of fire that shares a keyword, and until your next turn that character has protected outwit. It doesn't say it has to be another friendly character, so you could choose her if you wanted before she lands on that stop click there. But granting protected outwit is going to be super helpful. Having outwit's nice, and then once she takes a hit and goes up to that super Phoenix mode, she's going to get pretty crazy. So definitely a cool figure. And then next we have Storm for 85 points. She's got improved targeting characters, which I love to see with all that energy explosion. Kakoa Revival trait again. And then another trait that says when she hits with a range attack after resolutions, give a hit character a lightning rod token. And when Storm targets a single character with a lightning rod token with a range attack, she modifies damage by +3. And at the end of your turn, remove all lightning rod tokens that weren't given this turn. So that means if she hits them again, they get another lightning rod token, and she can hit them for +3 damage again the next turn. That's pretty insane. All in all, just a really solid version of Storm. Running shot, energy explosion, toughness, and leadership. And then that super awesome main bolt is still charging trait that she's got there. I love that. I think that's really cool. I hope to pull that off a couple times. I really like this Storm. And next we have Armor. So she starts off, I hate activation clicks, you guys, but for only 45 points, I guess that's not too bad. So she starts with Earthbound neutralized and some support. Probably not going to use that too much with the 9 attack. She can't use her Indomitable while she has Earthbound neutralized. You can't use willpower. But her special defense power gives her defend, invulnerability, and giant reach 2. And then her special damage gives her stop. When this click is first revealed, after resolutions, you may place armor in a square within 3 squares in line of fire. So I mean, she's not bad. Definitely, I would probably just push her myself to get to that charge super strength with the giant reach. For 45 points, she could do quite a bit of damage. And she'd still have 1 more stop click there at the end. But you could also just kind of put her out there as kind of like a human shield and just kind of bait them to hit her so she just goes straight into that first stop click. And you don't have to waste your time pushing her. But all in all, 45 points for those kinds of stats and powers, 2 stop clicks. She's going to do a lot for 45 points. Definitely a very good figure. All right, next we have Kid Omega for 65 points. Some sidestep precision strike with a 12 attack willpower and shape change. Mutant CIA trait, yet again, love that trait for the improved movement hindering and improved targeting hindering and the stealth. Traded mind control, and when Kid Omega uses it, he has improved targeting, elevated in characters on top of the improved targeting hindering. That means that only blocking terrain is going to get in his way. With his 7 range, that is very respectable. Then he also has stop with super senses there in the middle of his dial, where he gets running shot with an 11 attack, 4 damage, penetrating blast. I'd say this is a really good 65-point figure. Just the ability to use that mind control through just about everything. And then if they do hit him, he's just going to get even stronger and penetrating blast them. A really strong figure for sure. Next we have Professor X, another Krakoan revival figure, 75 points, 8 range, triple target with that 11 attack, incapacitate, some super senses, outwit, indomitable. He has another trait, free, choose an opposing character, not on its starting click. That character's controller may heal that character 1 click. If they do, until your next turn, the chosen character can't attack. And if they don't, roll a d6, on a 3 to 6, heal 1 click on a friendly character that is equal or less points than the chosen character. So not bad. I mean, you have to choose a character, they get a chance to heal their character, and if they do, they can't attack, and then you have the chance to heal one of your characters. So I know there's a give and take there. I could see that being like totally useless some games and super helpful other games, so we'll just have to see how that plays out. But then he also has a mind control, stealth, and when Professor X uses mind control, he has improved targeting, elevated, hindering, and characters. And this character can make range attacks while adjacent to opposing characters. So again, a very, very strong version of mind control, especially with that triple target, 11 attack. And again, being able to see through a lot of things, a very powerful figure there. And honestly, for only 75 points, you know, he's not too bad as far as a Krakoan revival option goes. And Storm too, actually, I meant to say that. She's not bad for the Krakoan revival thing either. So I feel like it's just the first couple of uncommons that I felt were a little overcosted. These ones are not too bad. There's definitely still a lot they can do. But moving on, Cardinal, 50 points. This guy does a lot. Mutant Chimera, when he uses the X-Men team ability to heal another character, that character gets, the defense value becomes 18. And then when another character uses it to heal him, he gets their printed attack and damage values, which could be really good in his case because he only has a 9 attack, 0 damage, with a starting stealth, incapacitate, super senses, and perplex. But then he also has, when a friendly character within line of fire is damaged by an opposing character, give him an Apocalypse Seed token. Free, roll a d6, add the number of his Apocalypse Seed tokens, and on a result of 8 or more, remove all action tokens from him and turn him to click number 6, and he can't use his traits for the rest of the game. And then on his damage power there that he gets on click number 6 onward, he gets Colossal Stamina, Protected Outwit, and at the end of your turn, if he did not hit this turn, if he did not hit something this turn, important distinction, you have to deal him 1 unavoidable damage. So I would definitely just use that Colossal Stamina to keep going, and as long as you hopefully keep hitting, he will only take the 1 damage from Colossal Stamina. But if you clear, he's going to have to take 1 damage from not hitting something. So I'd rather be doing damage with the Colossal Stamina, hopefully. But then he also has free, remove any number of Apocalypse Seed tokens, and until your next turn, modify a combat value by +1 for each token removed. So of course, by the time you get there, you'll have a few of those, and if you could potentially just modify up his attack and damage a bunch, or maybe his speed for the hypersonic, you know, it definitely has a lot of damage potential for a 50-point character. So what I'll say about this guy really is it comes down to if he gets hit and just instantly killed, then he's gonna be a waste of 50 points, I think. But if you do manage to keep him alive, hidden in stealth or whatever, getting some perplexes in there, and he does manage to turn to his 50-point line, he's going to be able to do a lot of damage and definitely be worth more than 50 points. But that just kind of depends. It's going to be a little bit of a finesse figure. You're going to have to use him wisely for sure. But he is really, really cool. Moving on, next we have Magneto for 150 points. He's got 8 range, triple target. He's got Brotherhood of Mutants and X-Men team ability. 11 movement with running shot and flight. 12 attack, energy explosion. Some indomitable with an 18 defense special power and 4 damage with a special power. He does have improved targeting for characters, which is really great to see with a triple target energy explosion. And then on that special defense power, he has energy shield deflection and mastermind. But he may choose a friendly character within 4 squares on line of fire instead of adjacent. So that's really awesome. They don't have to be right next to him. And then on his damage power, he has leadership and free. If no friendly character has been placed this turn, choose an opposing character within range that attacked Magneto or damaged a friendly character with the X-Men keyword since your last turn. Place Magneto such that he can make a range attack targeting a chosen character, then do so, targeting only that character. So essentially Colossal Retaliation. As long as it's somebody within his range, he doesn't have to have line of fire to them at first. So that's a pretty interesting power to have on a 150-point beast like this Magneto. Overall, definitely a solid Magneto. 150 points is a bit much, but he does have a lot of health, lots of mastermind there, not a lot of damage reducers, so you're gonna have to be banking on that mastermind. If he had some like power cosmic, maybe would be very good for him, but he also has a 90-point line there where he starts with basically the same stuff, but he goes down to an 11 attack. He only has 6 clicks of life. Now for 90 points, the Kakoa revival trait on him, I don't know. I feel like, again, he's a bit overcosted for 90 points, but at the same time, you could just keep reviving the character you use from Mastermind, so he could basically never die in a sense, so long as they don't outwit you, is really the only thing here. So, and then he could still keep, using that Colossal Retaliation type power on top of his normal attacks. So I think the 90-point line is actually maybe the best line to start with, all things considered. He also has a 25-point line you can use for literally just trying to use him as like a Colossal Retaliation type figure. 25 points for leadership also is not bad at all, and 8 range triple target energy explosion as well. So I think he's a really solid 25-point figure for sure. Lots of potential damage output, and they're going to be kind of annoying to put down with the mastermind and everything. But moving on, next we have Dr. Cecilia Reyes, who has some sidestep, incapacitate. On her special defense power, she gets barrier, defend, and energy shield deflection, which is a lot of defense powers for only a 30-point character. And then on damage, she has support, and when she uses it after resolutions, that character modifies its defense by +X until your next turn, where X is their number of action tokens. So if she supports somebody that already has 2 action tokens, they get a +2 to their defense, which is pretty awesome. And on top of the fact that she's got defend, she could defend them up to an 18 defense. So they could easily be sitting there with a 20 defense. So that's actually a really good 30-point figure. I like her quite a bit. Lots of really good support figures, like actual healing support figures in this set. Very interesting. Especially with all the X-Men team ability, there's going to be a lot of healing in this set. As far as shield goes, it's going to be really obnoxious. But moving on, we have Karima, who starts with some running shot, precision strike, 18 defense with indom and invulnerability, 3 damage, some flight, 7 range double target, only 75 points, improved targeting for elevated, hindering, and characters, which is pretty insane. And then she has, when Karima hit targets can't use stop this turn, and you may choose a standard attack power. She can use that power until she chooses again. That is so good. Anytime she hits, that character can't use stop for the rest of the turn, and then you can choose an attack power, and she can use that attack power until she chooses again. So until she hits, and you want to choose something else. So you could just choose Penetrating Blast or Pulse Wave, or whatever you want. That is so good. That is amazing. And it's just when she hits, too. So as soon as she hits, once the damage is dealt, they won't be able to use stops. So if it's one of those type of characters that only has, like maybe 1 click left with a stop click, she's going to be able to shoot right past that. That's pretty insane. And she also has traded energy shield deflection because she totally needs that. I really like this rare figure. She's really, really good. Definitely one of the best rares yet. But moving on, next we have Hope Summers, who has a trait, the 5 Hope Summers. When another friendly character is chosen for the Kakoa revival trait after resolutions, choose a standard power that character can use. Hope Summers can use that power this game. That's going to be really good to use with one of these Kakoa revival people, because she's going to be able to keep choosing powers off of anybody that you revive. Definitely makes it more worth it. But then she also has free, choose up to 3 standard powers that adjacent friendly characters with the X-Men keyword can use. Hope Summers can use those powers until your next turn. So that's really, really good, obviously. Getting to choose 3 standard powers is great. And you can choose them from any adjacent friendly X-Men keyworded characters. So that gives you a lot of options, as long as you are playing with a lot of X-Men, obviously. For only 50 points, she has stealth and enhancement as well. But, I mean, she could come out of there with running shot, pulse wave, and impervious, depending on who you've got. She could have perplex, outwit, and prob. She could have anything you can imagine that you team her up with. That is so So powerful. Definitely a very good rare figure yet again. Then next we have Proteus, who has the 5 Proteus. One friendly character is chosen for their Kakoa revival trait during your next turn. That character deals penetrating damage and modifies damage +1. So I could definitely see using all of these 5 characters with one of the good Kakoa revival people, and then just maybe throw in a couple other cheap X-Men. I could see a good Kakoa revival trait happening here, because this guy could up all their damage values and make them deal penetrating damage, and then Hope Summers can gain powers off of them, and etc, etc. It could get pretty ridiculous. He also has Stop Mastermind there on his last click. He starts with Charge and Impervious. For only 65 points, that's not bad at all. He also has Exploit, Weakness, and Perplex, and when he uses Perplex after resolutions, you may move the target 1 square, so forcing your opponent to move out of position is super helpful, or moving your character a square further into position is, again, super helpful. Very, very good 65 point figure. These rare figures so far are killing it. They're so good. Next we have Odd, who has Running Shot with 11 attack, 18 invulnerability, 3 damage with Range Combat Expert for 90 points, 7 range. Improved targeting, once per range attack, he can destroy a square blocking terrain. So that's a really good improved targeting to have. Not a lot of people have that. Then he also has Traded Defend and Enhancement. And we use his enhancement friendly characters with the Starjammer's keyword modify damage +2 instead. So again, super helpful. Defend them up to an 18. He's got an 18 defense his whole dial. +2 enhancement for their damage for range attacks is great. Then when he starts the game, you can generate a Kree Bystander that gains the Starjammer's keyword. At first glance, he seems a bit overcosted to me, but he does do a lot for a Starjammer's team. If he had Indomitable, he'd definitely be more worth it. But the Kree Bystander that he gets has Mind Control with 8 movement, 9 attack with Poison, and a whopping 19 defense with Super Senses. Definitely could help out the team a little bit there with some Poison, maybe get a lucky Mind Control off, and just being generally annoying with a 19 is kind of annoying to hit. But moving on, we have Raza, who starts with Charge, Blades, Claws, Fangs, and a special defense power, 45 points only. Has a trait that gives Precision Strike and Empower, and when Raza uses it, friendly characters with the Starjammers get damage +2 instead. So just like saw on the last guy with the +2 enhancement, this one gets +2 Empower. And also Traded Precision Strike is nice to have. Defense gives Super Senses, but succeeds on a 4 to 6, and when Raza evades a close attack, after resolutions, deal damage to the attacker equal to their printed damage value. I love that so much. That's just when they try to punch you, then you just turn it around and hit them for whatever their damage value is. That can be pretty crazy. It can definitely help a lot. It can be worse than Mystics in some cases. 5 range too there, don't forget about that on those close combat figures. Push him onto some probability control for only 45 points, definitely can do a lot, so I like him. Starjammers, not a keyword I've ever played before, not a team I'm super familiar with, but I gotta say all of them so far have been very, very good. It makes me actually want to try the team out. One of the things I love about Heroclix is that sometimes you just discover new teams because of how cool they are in the game, and then you start liking them after that. So it's just cool to learn new things about new characters and cool teams and stuff. Alright, so we're finally on the super rare figures. Again, thank you if you stuck with it so far. If you've had to leave and come back a few times, totally understand. Alright, so Maggot, he has the X-Men team ability, he's 40 points. He starts with a 9 movement with Sidestep, 10 attack, 18 with Super Senses, and 3 damage with Probability Control. He's got the Animal, Generation X, and X-Men keywords. So he has a trait that says free, generate an Eenie or Meanie Bystander, unless Maggot's Bystander of that name has been KO'd, and each has max 1. Then his next trait says free, remove an adjacent Eenie or Meanie Bystander from the map. If you do, remove all of that Bystander's food tokens and give them to Maggot. And then his last trait says free, remove a food token and choose 1, heal 2 clicks, or this turn Maggot can use charge and modifies his combat values by +1. Alright, and then just to take a quick look at what the Eenie and Meanie Bystanders do. So they both are going to have a 7 movement with charge, a 10 attack, a 17 with combat reflexes, and a 2 damage. Alright, and so Eenie has Exploit Weakness on his damage, and Meanie has Poison on his attack, and they're both tiny size and autonomous. And then they both also have a trait that whenever they hit, you can give them a food token. So the way this all works basically is that Maggot is gonna move up maybe be carried up, maybe sidestep, whatever. And then he's going to take a free action to generate a Eenie or Meanie bystander from his card, depending on whichever one you want at the time. Like if you're going against a character with some damage reducers, you might want Eenie for the exploit weakness, and if you're going against characters without any damage reducers, you might want Meanie for the poison. But either way, they can both then charge, potentially make an attack. If they hit, doesn't matter if they damage, they just need to hit, they can get a food token. And then if they're adjacent to Maggot, he can take a free action to get rid of them and take their food tokens, and then he can use the food tokens on himself to either give him charge and up all of his combat values, or just heal himself a couple clicks if he needs to, because he doesn't have any willpower. So you might want to push him to move him around, just to position him better to drop those Eenie and Meanie bystanders. So overall, this is a really cool figure, really well designed, and this is actually a champion designed figure from the 2018 Team Worlds Champions. So congratulations, you guys did an excellent job. This is a very, very powerful 40-point figure. And one of the reasons I think it is so powerful is because, of course, taking a free action to generate a bystander means that you can use some type of character that can maybe carry, you know, like 12 squares or something with phase teleport, and then drop him. Then he can actually sidestep, and then he can, you know, drop the Pog an extra square, and then that Pog can charge, or it can poison, or whatever. And then he's got the prob to help them hopefully hit with their 10 attack. And it's pretty crazy, honestly. For only 40 points, I'm sure we're going to be seeing teams with like 3 of this guy just be carried around to drop like several tokens. Because then, remember, generating from off the map and placing them from off the map is different than placing a character on the map from somewhere else on the map, such as from like telekinesis or being carried or something. So he can actually generate the one that does poison, and then it can do the poison right there as a free action and get that free poison damage on somebody. Now that's not a hit, that's not an attack, so it won't get the food tokens, but it's still free damage from a 40-point character, from a 0-point character, kind of, because it's a bystander. So really, really powerful figure. Definitely going to be meta, I think, in some type of X-Men swarm team for sure. Really brings a new meaning to the word swarm team, because you'll be swarming them with maggots, which is disgusting, honestly. We're going to start with a Gambit. He's got a 7-range triple target, which is cool. Improved movement and targeting for hindering terrain. The Excalibur Mystical Protectors trait that gives the Mystics team ability, but only for ranged attacks. And then he's protected from the Mystics team ability, so that's nice to have. Running shot and stealth on his special movement power. Special attack power gives him energy explosion and precision strike. Just don't forget you can't multi-target with precision strike, so you're going to have to either single target precision strike or multi-target energy explosion. But then free, make an attack, but only to target a single non-standard character. So like we saw Moira X earlier, she says specifically she's not a standard character. Any character that's bigger than a peanut base, or is tiny size or giant or colossal, those are all non-standard characters. So you know, free attacks on like a Colossal Retaliator is pretty nice. Overall, you know, he's got Super Senses and Perplex to start with. He's 80 points. Indomitable is nice. I mean, I said this the last time we looked at him in the preview. He's good. He's a little disappointing because I was really hoping for some super awesome, crazy, powerful Gambit. And I mean, he might be the best Gambit we have yet, but I'm not impressed. He's just very basic to me. Just stealth, running shot, energy explosion, perplex, essentially. Not that that's bad. I mean, he's got good stats and some other cool stuff. He does have a 50-point line for the same thing. He really just loses perplex if you want to shave a good chunk of points off of him, and lose the perplex and a couple clicks of life. Totally worth the 50 points still. I love Gambit, so I'm still going to want this one a lot. Next we have Captain Britain. Now this is the Psylocke Captain Britain. She's got a 3 range up there, so don't forget about that. She starts with 11 movement with charge and flight, 11 attack, 18 impervious and indomitable, and a 3 damage with exploit weakness. She's also coming in at 80 points. She also has the Excalibur trait for the Mystics from ranged attacks and protected Mystics, and then a trait that gives her leadership. And when she uses leadership and succeeds, you may also remove an action token from a friendly character within range with the X-Men or Excalibur keyword. So that's really, really good. You can also remove a token from somebody within 3 squares of her, and that says also remove an action token, so it's kind of in addition to removing the one that she would normally from an adjacent character. So potentially remove 2 tokens in a turn is really good. And then I really love her special attack power that gives her Blades, Claws, Fangs, and once per turn, when she uses it, you may choose to reduce the d6 roll by 1 or 2 before rolling it. You have to choose. And then if you do, decrease the target's combat values by the same amount until your next turn. So honestly, I would almost risk just taking the -2 every time, because giving a -2 to your opponent's combat values, unless you absolutely had to kill them with that attack, that's going to be devastating to them. That's going to make it super easy for the rest of your team to follow up. And don't forget that her base damage now with Blades is going to be her printed -1. So even if you take a -2 and you only roll like a 1, 2, or 3, you're still going to be doing 2 damage no matter what. So that's really awesome. So that's going to be really awesome with the -2 to their stats. And she's got exploit, so it's still going to go through most reducers. I really like this Captain Britain. I think she does a lot of cool stuff, and she's definitely one of my most wanted super rares. And then she also has a 30-point line, which I don't like as much, but honestly, I mean, charge with flight and blades and some indom and some outwit, and she still has mystics from range and the special leadership trait. So for 30 points, she's still going to do a lot for your team, so definitely still worth it at 30 points as well. Coming up next, we have Jubilee. So she's 50 points. She starts with Sidestep, Energy Explosion with an 11 attack, 17 with Energy Shield, and Indomitable, 5 range double target. She has a trait, again, with the Excalibur for the Mystics and Protected Mystics. Now, to start with, on her damage special, she has a free once per game for all friendly characters with this power. If it's your 5th turn or later, or if the map's name includes Otherworld, you can turn Jubilee to click number 7. So that's when she gets all these ridiculous powers up here, where she gets a special running shot, wing symbol, giant symbol, and protected outwit and pulse wave. And then she gets a special attack that gets +3 to range, penetrating blast, and then free, remove all non-debris terrain markers within range from the map. So that's insane. And then she has invincible and shape change on top of that. So for a 50-point character, I mean, she's not that bad to start with for 50 points, just for the sidestep and energy explosion, just as kind of a basic character. But then if you manage to get a big theme team and win map and put her on an Otherworld map, then she gets to turn to this super ridiculous protected outwit, protected pulse wave, running shot, flight, giant size monster that gets a +3 to range, penetrating blast, and can remove all non-debris terrain markers within her range from the map, which means she can just free, get rid of all your barrier markers, and then blast you. That's pretty insane, honestly. For 50 points, you really just have to hope to win map, and she's going to be insanely powerful. And even if you don't win map, she can probably hold her own for 5 turns, hopefully. Especially with Kakoa and Revival trait, too. That could definitely help keep her alive long enough that she might actually be able to see the 5th turn and turn into that monster. But would definitely prefer to win map in the first place, I'll just say that. Otherwise, she's not amazing, but she's still good. Moving on, next we have Cape Pride. Improved movement characters, Krakoan Revival trait again. Only 65 points this time, so definitely well worth the Krakoan Revival this time for being so low points. And at the beginning of the game, you get to generate a Lockheed Bystander, which we'll take a look at. Friendly characters with the Hellfire Club, Marauders, or Pirate keyword can use Steal Energy. So giving Steal Energy to a lot of characters, that's super helpful. And when she moves through an equipped opposing character after resolutions, roll a d6. On a 5 or 6, that character unequips their equipment. So there's a chance there that if she moves through somebody with her improved movement characters or her phase teleport special, that she's going to unequip their equipment, which is nice. It's always a plus. And then, like I said, she's got phase teleport on the movement with sidestep, stealth, and passenger 3. So lots of cool movement powers. Carry the team. She can hand out Steal Energy to a lot of characters. She generates Lockheed. She's got the Krakoan Revival. She can unequip people. 10 attack, precision strike, 18 energy shield, 3 damage with probability control on top of that. Very, very solid support figure. I definitely like her a lot. She gets a 19 defend there in the middle with some outwit. Lots of cool stuff she can do. And Lockheed Bystander also has some sidestep, a 4 range with energy explosion, 17 with energy shield, and perplex. So not only does she have prob, but this thing's also bringing perplex and everything else she does for the team. So very, very good figure for sure. Coming up next, we have Nightcrawler for 60 points, 12 movement, 10 attack blades, 18 defense, 2 damage with shape change. It says here he's also got the Kakoa revival trait, now for only 60 points. I think that's the lowest point one we've seen with the trait. So again, as they scale up in rarity, the points go down even more. So this guy is going to be doing a lot for the team. Because he does have Passenger 1, so he's going to be able to carry one person with him. He has Phase Teleport and Stealth, and when he uses Phase Teleport and carries a friendly character that shares a keyword, after resolutions you may place him in the square he began movement from. So you can carry them up, place them, and then teleport back over there and do it again next turn. Then on his defense, he has Super Senses, and when a standard friendly character within 5 squares in line of fire that shares a keyword with him is attacked, they can use Super Senses, but only if Nightcrawler has line of fire to the attacker. When they use it and succeed, after resolutions, place them adjacent to Nightcrawler. So as long as they're within 5 squares in line of fire of him, and he can also see the attacker, then you get to give Super Senses to everybody, which is super helpful. And just having Super Senses in the shape change is, of course, a great defense. He can do some good damage with blades. In the middle there, he gets 9 movement with hypersonic, 11 attack with precision, and some probability control for only 60 points. This is a very, very, very good version of Nightcrawler. Maybe one of the best ones yet. There have been some really good ones though, but I definitely want this Nightcrawler for sure. And that sculpt is amazing. If you guys haven't seen the sculpt yet, it looks great. Next we have Glob Herman, 40 points. He's got poison. When he uses it and deals damage to an opposing character, you may give them an action token, and if you do, give all adjacent opposing characters an action token. Oh, you may give him an action token, and then you can give all adjacent opposing characters an action token. So really good at locking people up with tokens. He's got charge and plasticity and deals penetrating damage to adjacent characters, including with poison. 11 attack with super strength, so only 40 points. Very solid figure. Can definitely deal out a lot of damage and a lot of tokens, a lot of action tokens to mess with your opponent's team. Is really cool for so low points. Coming up next, we have Cable for 120 points. Running shot, toughness, and prob with a 4 damage. Improved targeting for hindering your characters is awesome. Phase Teleport, Passenger 2. So you can carry your team around. Free if he has 2 action tokens move. So even if he has 2 tokens, he can Phase Teleport out of there or carry your team around still. Penetrating Psychic Blast. Free, choose a character within range and line of fire and a standard attack power they can use until your next turn. He can use the chosen power and the chosen character can't use that power. So a very, very powerful thing. Just take their attack powers and use it for your own. On top of just having Penetrating Blast for 4 damage is great. And then he also has Enhancement, and as a power action, he can make a range attack, and then all other characters adjacent to the original target also become targets, and hit characters are dealt 1 penetrating damage instead of normal damage, and modify their attack -2 until your next turn. So it's basically an energy explosion. You just can't use it with running shot because it's a power action. But then if it only does 1 penetrating damage, and if it hits, then they also get a -2 to their attack. So that's really awesome because it's going to be really hard for them to attack back, especially since he's got prob. So a really, really good character, even for 120 points. And then his lower point line, he's got only 60 points. He does a lot of that same stuff. So this is one of those characters that I would be fine with using at either point value, I think, because he still is going to be able to use all that cool Phase Teleport Passenger 2 stuff with the free move. He still can take their attack powers. He can still do the enhancement and the energy explosion type of a special power. So very, very awesome, super rare Cable there. Definitely would use him at either point value. Coming up next, we have Apocalypse, who has the Cosmic Energy and X-Men team abilities. He's 150 points. He's got 8 range double target. Starts with Phase Teleport, 11 Penetrating Blast for 5 damage with Outwit, and 18 Invincible, so quite the beast there. Starts with a trait that says the first time Apocalypse would be KO'd, instead turn him to click number 8, then roll a d6 and heal him equal to half the result, Protected Pulse Wave. So that's going to be really annoying to deal with the first time he would be KO'd. He isn't, and he heals quite a bit. Traded leadership, and when he uses it after resolutions, you may move a friendly character with the Horsemen or X-Men keyword up to half the result of the D6 roll. So he can also move himself with that as well. Don't forget about that. And then penetrating psychic blast, steal energy, and giant reach of 3 there on his special attack power in the middle of his dial. And then on his last few clicks there, he gets toughness and regeneration, but roll 2d6 and choose 1 to be the result. That combined with the flurry and steal energy he has there means he's got a lot of late dial healing, which means it's going to be pretty hard to put that last couple clicks of damage in to KO him, and then you're still going to get to bring him back. So 150 points is a lot, but he's quite the beast. I think he could be worth it, especially for being essentially power cosmic. He does have a 75 point line as well, which again is still going to be doing quite a bit for the team. I think I like the 150 a little bit more, but this is not a terrible dial for 75 points at all. It's still very powerful. Then, of course, Apocalypse is also the super rare prime. Starts with a 12 movement charge, 12 attack super strength, 19 invincible with indomitable, and a 5 damage with outwit. He's got great stats and powers, of course, to start with. 250 points is a lot, though, so he better do some cool stuff. And he does. He says, at the beginning of the game, you may choose up to 4 friendly characters, each of 50 points or less, and choose a different effect below for each this game. The chosen characters gain the Horseman keyword and their chosen effect for War, Super Strength, Pestilence, Poison, Famine. Adjacent opposing characters can't be healed, and Death for Exploit Weakness. So right off the bat there, you get to hand out some powers as you see fit to some of your friendly characters. So there's some really cool stuff you could do there if you, mess around with it some. But then Apocalypse can't be targeted by opposing characters 5 or more squares away. That's so annoying to deal with, honestly. Especially if you have like a range-based team. It's really hard to have to get that close, especially since he has a 6 range himself, so he can be just barely out of your reach. Then he has another trait that gives him protected mind control, outwit, and penetrating blast. Lots of protections there. And then free, choose a standard power or the colossal symbol, and you can use the chosen power or ability until your next turn. So pick a power is great. You can literally pick any standard power that you can think of, so unlimited options there. Or you can pick colossal symbol, so he can essentially have colossal stamina if you need to push, get that colossal push going. And then he also has another trait that gives him friendly characters with the Horseman keyword, can use steal energy. So on top of giving them all those different abilities, he's also going to give them all steal energy. So he's a very interesting twist between one-man army and a team player, because he's handing out lots of these powers to your friendly characters, but he's also doing a lot of stuff for himself. So he's, all in all, just a very powerful figure, as Apocalypse should be. This is a really, really awesome figure. I know it's going to be huge on everybody's want list. He does also have a 150-point line, based, all the same stuff, pretty much, more or less. And then he also has a 100-point line, which I wouldn't really recommend, because 100 points for 4 clicks, I'm not a fan of that. I've not ever been a fan of that. I'll never be a fan of that. It's just not enough life for a 100-point character. But if you're playing a 300-point game, that's the only way you're going to be able to squeeze in 4 50-point characters and him, and give them, all the horseman powers and everything. So if you really wanted to squeeze him on a 300-point game with 4 other horsemen, then there you go. That's going to be your only option. And that's probably the only reason I'd ever use the 100-point line, if I'm being honest. But it's still pretty decent. He does still have all the pick of power and stuff. But anyway, moving on. Black Tom, 65 points. Has a mutant CIA trait we've seen. Love it for that stealth and improved movement and targeting for hindering. Shape change, but only if he occupies hindering terrain, and then sidestep, and then as a free action, if he occupies hindering terrain, place him in a square of hindering terrain within 5 squares. He does have 5 range. He does have a smoke cloud there, so you could lay out the smoke cloud, and then take that free action to place him into another square of hindering within 5, and you could still sidestep around. And you'd have the shape change as long as he's in hindering. So lots of good stuff, and he's got the stealth, of course, so 11 attack, 4 damage with exploit weakness for only 65 points is pretty crazy too. And 18 with invulnerability is pretty good defense. So definitely a very powerful 65-point character. Definitely can do a lot of damage. and move around quite a bit in the hindering. So really, really cool figure. I like him. All right, now we've come to Juggernaut. This is probably my biggest want from what I've seen of the super rares. So he's coming in at 175 points, but he starts with a 13 movement, 12 attack, super strength, 19 impervious, and 5 damage. Some Indomitable and Brotherhood of Mutants team ability. Has improved movement for hindering and can move through and destroy blocking terrain. So that's great. You love to see that on Juggernaut. Mystical Helmet gives him colossal stamina, and Juggernaut can reduce penetrating damage and has protected outwit. So that's starting to sound a lot like that Emperor Vulcan guy. Protected outwit can reduce penetrating damage and starts with a 19 impervious. That's really tough to deal with. Not to mention colossal stamina this time. Special movement power gives him charge, and when he uses it, he may choose to not have his speed value. If you do, he can use improved movement characters and can only move in a direct path. And then it says if Juggernaut used charge during your last turn, he can't become immobile. Of course, he can't ever be stopped, right? So charge without having speed, even if you have to move in a direct path, for 13 squares, definitely worth it. That is such a huge charge reach. It's insane. But then on his defense, that last click there gives him stop, impervious, but succeeds on a 4 to 6, which is even extra cool because he can reduce penetrating damage. And then on his damage power that he starts and ends with, he gets Battle Fury, and opposing characters within 4 squares can't use Stop, Leadership, or Perplex. If they already use Perplex, it temporarily doesn't apply. So that's just so good. The fact that they can't use Stop, Leadership, or Perplex within 4 squares of him is insane. This guy can charge 13 squares at you through every terrain except for elevated, and then hit you for 5 damage, and you can't stop or anything. It's insane. This guy's damage output's going to be crazy. Of course, he's got that stop and all the protection, so he's really, really good. Definitely worth it at 175, and at 100 points, he's still very much worth it. A little bit less crazy with the stats, and he has 5 clicks of health, which again, I don't really like to see 4 or 5 clicks of health on a 100-point character, but with all the different protections and can reduce penetrating damage and all that stuff, and the stop click, I'll allow it this time. He's got some steel energy there at the end too, so he can potentially heal off of his stop click on his own, so you don't have to have like a healer or anything. Definitely one of my highest wants of the set. And this is a champion designed figure, so really good job on this one, man. Definitely the best Juggernaut I think we'll ever have in the game. Alright, now moving on, we have Richter, and he's coming in at only 40 points. He does have 6 range, 9 movement with charge, 11 attack, 18 with super senses, and 3 damage. Improved movement for hindering and outdoor blocking terrain. The Excalibur trait for the Mystics from range attacks, and protected from Mystics. And then another trait that gives him barrier, and barrier as free, but only to generate 1 blocking terrain marker. And when he uses a barrier after resolutions, you may remove 1 blocking terrain marker adjacent to the generated markers. So that's really powerful, of course, being able to generate even just 1 barrier marker as a free action, and then being able to remove a barrier marker of your opponent's, maybe if you generate it next to it, can give you just that right line of sight you need to get in there and get that perfect shot off. So that's really cool trait to have. And then the special attack power that he has for his whole dial gives him a Quake, and when Richter uses it, he may also target opposing characters within range that are adjacent to squares of blocking terrain. So that's really awesome. You can get that free barrier out 6 squares and be able to Quake somebody that's adjacent to blocking terrain. So that's really awesome. That reminds me a lot of Quake from the Captain America and the Avengers set. Being able to basically Quake at range is a really powerful ability to have. But he's really, really good for 40 points. So moving on, next we have a Mother, and she's only 35 points, and she is a title character. She only has 4 movement with sidestep, 9 attack with telekinesis, 16 with willpower, and 1 damage with perplex. She has 0 starting plot points. When she is KO'd, an opponent chooses a character, friendly or opposing, and that opponent places the chosen character in its starting area and either deals them 1 unavoidable damage or heals them 1 click. So they can either pull their character out of there and heal a click, or put your characters way back in your starting area and deal them a damage whenever they KO her. So you gotta be really careful because she does only have 4 clicks of health, only being 35 points. and that's a pretty decent effect for your opponent, which means it's pretty bad for you to get whenever she would be KO'd. But then she has her +1 plot point ability, which gives her free until your next turn. Mother may use her displayed damage power twice per turn. I really like that for, of course, the Perplex starting out with. Then you get a lot of prob there, and then maybe a double outwit at the end. Just being able to use any of those powers twice in a turn is really powerful, especially for only 35 points. Now, after you've managed to use that maybe 3 times. Now, don't forget, though, that when a title character uses one of its plot point abilities, if it doesn't make an attack in the same turn, it has to take an unavoidable damage. So, first time using that, you'll get the double perplex, but then she's going to have to take an unavoidable, and then hopefully you can make use of the double prob a couple times, but then she'll be on her last click before she's going to be able to use the -3 ability, which gives her free, choose a standard character with the X-Men keyword within 6 squares in line of fire, and modify its combat values by +1 until your next turn. And then it says Mother's KO effect gains this game. Friendly standard characters with the X-Men keyword can use Perplex this game. After resolutions that give Mother 2 plot points. So that's pretty good. So that way, if she would be KO'd, it basically gives your whole team Perplex, so that's definitely worth it. And if you manage to keep her alive, maybe heal her up a couple of clicks and get her to the -5 ability. And it says free. Until your next turn, you may re-roll each attack roll once in addition to other re-rolls. Mother's KO effect gains this game. Friendly standard characters with the X-Men keyword can use probability control. So again, giving your whole team probability control is going to be insanely powerful and really, really helps make that whole KO effect not so bad for you. So this is a really interesting figure because it's like they remembered that you're not going to be making attacks with her because she's primarily a support figure, so she's going to have to be taking that unavoidable damage. And they kind of tied that into her abilities so that it's pretty much unavoidable that she's probably going to die, but then you might get something even more beneficial from her death. And now it is kind of weird that they just say KO effect, because technically it doesn't say anywhere what a KO effect is. I mean, we kind of know that that's the continuity effect, but it's kind of interesting that they didn't just call it her continuity effect. But regardless, it is what it is. It's a really cool figure. I really love, for only 35 points, the ability to double perplex somebody and then TK them out is actually really powerful. And I do like that a lot. And you can heal her up with the X-Men team ability and potentially get the -5 ability. So a really interesting title character, and I actually do want to try her out on a couple of teams. I have a couple ideas for that. Next we have North. He's got the Mutant Chimera trait, which says that when North uses the X-Men team ability to heal another character, their attack value becomes 12, and when another friendly character uses X-Men team ability to heal him, this turn he gets their attack and damage values equal to their printed values. Now he already has pretty good attack and damage values, the whole dial, so I wouldn't really risk healing him unless you have a character that has like a 12 attack, 5 damage or something. Because he does start with 11 attack, penetrating blast for 4 damage with some shape change. Now he's got a trait that gives him energy shield deflection, and when North is targeted by a non-adjacent character for that attack, you may choose that he can't use energy shield deflection and instead increases the result of his impervious and super senses rolls by +1. And of course on his defense he just has impervious and super senses. With a pretty standard 17 defense, but you got impervious, super senses, and shape change, and energy shield, and you can choose to get rid of the energy shield to get +1 to your impervious and super sense rolls. So really going to be hard to hit this guy at all. So probably worth 150 points. He is very susceptible to outwit, but I really want to make this guy Herald of Galactus because Power Cosmic gives him the willpower he needs, because 150 points and no willpower is honestly horrible, because I mean, you're not going to be able to push at all, and that's half your team, so not very good. But if you give him that Power Cosmic, you give him the willpower, and protect all of those powers from outwit, it's going to be really, really hard to hit this guy. But then he also has a special movement power that gives him running shot, and when North uses it after resolutions, he can use either telekinesis or mind control at no cost. So that's really good. Running shot, penetrating blast, and then potentially telekinesis something, maybe throw an object at them, or try and mind control them to do something else. Anytime you can do 2 actions in a turn, essentially, is always going to be really powerful. I like that he ends with the running shot pulse wave for 4 there. So all in all, he's a decent figure, and with a little bit of help, he could be a great figure, I think. I definitely think Herald of Galactus will go a long way to help him out. 75-point line as well if you want to save a few points. Now for the 75-point line, it's probably the point line I would use if I wasn't going to make him a Herald of Galactus, because he is still going to be super hard to hit, but this way you have a lot more room on your team. He's more of a support figure with the telekinesis to start off with, and being able to running shot and then maybe double target mind control or something, so you're not going to have to rely on him as much. But he's definitely a cool figure, definitely has potential. Moving on, we have Omega, who's got an 8 range double target with a 12 movement running shot and flight, 12 attack pulse wave, 18 invincible and 4 damage. The Cosmic Energies team ability coming in at a whopping 200 points. This is the second highest point character I think we've seen right after Apocalypse. So running shot pulse wave is always going to be great, and invincible with power Cosmic essentially is always going to be good. But looking at the traits, when Omega takes damage, give her an adaptation token for each damage taken. So each damage taken, you get a token. Free, you move any number of adaptation tokens until your next turn. Modify Omega's combat values by +1 for each token removed. So you can essentially potentially get some really high combat values there late dial, because you get to modify all of her combat values by +1 for each token. So just removing 3, you get +3 to everything. That's insane. And then the first time Omega would be KO'd, instead turn her to click number 10, remove all adaptation tokens, and heal her 1 click for each token removed. Protected pulse wave. So if I'm going to be honest, I might want to just save the tokens until she would be KO'd, and then just heal all the way back to the beginning, because she's got 10 clicks of health. So that's going to be a lot. And actually, if you're lucky enough to land on regeneration, you could, well, you can't heal more, but you could heal up, and then you could get rid of a couple tokens. You could then afford to get rid of a couple tokens, essentially, to up her stats some, and then when she takes another hit, you could still heal her up to full. But yeah, I would wait till she gets KO'd, or would be KO'd, heal her up to full, and then when she starts taking damage, start taking off those tokens to just give yourself like +2 to everything. Gets pretty crazy, and that's also, of course, protected pulse wave. And then she has damage power that gives her outwit and shape change, which 2 really good powers, especially comboed with, you know, being protected outwit. Very, very powerful 200-point figure. Just being able to be KO'd, and if you save all those tokens, go back to top dial, that's going to be so annoying to deal with. Or even taking a hit and giving yourself like +2 to everything, or +3 to everything. Massive damage potential there. But anyway, moving on. Next we have Waldo, who's only 40 points, 12 movement with phase teleport, and some perplex, and 18 defense with invulnerability, and as a unique modifier, friendly characters with the Starjammer's keyword within 4 squares modify defense +1. That's really good. And then of course the traits, Passenger 4, when Waldo carries, it may carry friendly characters with the Starjammer's keyword that are up to 4 squares away instead of adjacent. That's always helpful. And then when Waldo starts the game, generate a Sikorsky bystander that gains the Starjammer's keyword. So another bystander generator here. I really like that all Starjammers within 4 just get +1 defense. That's a really good power to have, and especially with the perplex and that phase teleport, being able to carry 4 friendly Starjammers, just carry the whole team, give them all +1 defense, and perplex them up. And you get the Sikorsky bystander, which has a 12 attack with support. So, and also some flight and sidestep there, so it can carry something, sidestep it out of the fight, and then try to heal it with its 12 attack support, which is pretty good odds of healing it. So that's a really good way to round out that Starjammers team. But now we are finally done with all the super rares. All we have left to take a look at now are the chases. So starting us off, we have probably my most wanted chase of the whole set, probably everybody's most wanted chase of the whole set. Old Man Phoenix, coming in at 160 points, has the Cosmic Energies team ability, a 13 movement, 12 attack, blades, claws, fangs, 19 impervious, and 4 damage. At the beginning of your turn, roll a d6 and heal Old Man Phoenix half the result. So he's going to be healing 1 to 3 clicks at the beginning of every single turn. With 9 clicks long and all those damage reducers, that's going to be pretty tough to deal with. Then another trait that says when an opposing character would be KO'd but isn't, after resolutions, give them an unwanted resurrection token. Characters with an unwanted resurrection token can't heal, evade, or reduce damage. Ooh, That's really, really, really mean. There's a lot of characters now that say, that when they would be KO'd, instead do this or that, or turn into this click number. So now it's like, okay, when you would be KO'd, now you can't reduce any damage, you can't dodge anything, and you can't heal anymore. Because those characters are really annoying to deal with. So it's about time we got something to really finish him off here. And then his whole movement, he just has a special that gives him charge and flurry. And then for his whole damage line there, he gets battle fury and exploit weakness. So he doesn't care about shape change. He can't be incapacitated or mind controlled, and exploit weakness there. So he can do some penetrating damage with the Blade's Claws, or charge flurry with the Blade's Claws, or just do your natural 4 damage, because that's a lot of damage. So of course, this guy's freaking awesome. Hard to take down with all that healing every turn, and being able to kind of mess up your opponent's plans with the would-be KO'd stuff is really, really awesome. Love it. I kind of wish he had some colossal stamina, though. There's a lot of characters now that get colossal stamina, and I'd like to have seen it on him, but regardless, still an amazing figure. He also has a 90-point line, which isn't too bad. As long as he doesn't just die in one turn, you could continuously heal him up still. Still a strong character. I definitely prefer the full 160 points, though. I'm going to go all in on the Old Man Phoenix, and definitely my most wanted chase of the set, because it looks amazing. If you guys have seen the sculpt, it looks great. Coming up next, we have or Apocalypse, essentially. He's got 7 range, the Cosmic Energy and X-Men team ability, running shot with 12 attack, penetrating blast for 4 damage with prob, and a nice 19 with invincible. He's also indomitable, which he already has willpower from the Cosmic Energy team ability, so it's probably some type of mistake, but he's got the Excalibur thing to give him mystics from range attacks and protected mystics. He's got another trait that says when a standard character is KO'd, give him a crystal token. If that character has a mystical keyword, give him 2 instead. And as a free action, you can remove a crystal token, and if you do, choose a or an adjacent friendly character with the X-Men keyword and a standard damage power, and then the chosen character can use that power until your next turn. So choosing a standard damage power, Perplex, Prob, Outwit, Shape Change, Exploit Weakness, Range Combat Expert, Close Combat Expert. There's lots of good choices there. It's anytime a character is KO'd, so a standard character, so yours or your opponent's. Kind of helps you out if you start losing characters, but it's also benefits you greatly if you KOing a lot of their characters as well. So really good power to have there. And then on his defense, he gets Stop, Invulnerability, and Mastermind, and when this click is first revealed, after resolutions, roll a d6 and heal him a number of clicks equal to the result. So that's going to be super annoying to deal with. He hits that Stop, going to be able to heal a number of clicks equal to the result, so between 1 and 6 clicks, and then he's going to hit the Stop again. And then Invuln and Mastermind's not exactly easy to deal with on a Stop either. So of course, a very powerful version of Apocalypse for 160 points again, just like Old Man Phoenix was. Or for 70 points, he also has a lower point line. I really like the 70 line too. He only has 4 clicks of life, but he's going to hit the Stop, and he's going to heal up probably close to, if not all the way back to the top dial. And he's going to hit the Stop again. So, he also has the Krakoan Revival trait on his 70 point line, which is really cool, of course, reviving your other characters as well. But then you're not going to get the crystal tokens, so give and take with that. A very strong version of Apocalypse, and very cool chase. Coming up next, we have Dark Britain for 140 points. Starts with 11 movement with a special, 12 attack, 19 impervious, and 4 damage with prob. Some Indom and some Mystics, actual Mystics team ability this time, not just from a trait. A lot of 19 defenses in this set, man. That's going to be annoying to deal with. But he's got a trait that gives him Battle Fury, and he can reduce penetrating damage. A lot of people in this set can reduce penetrating damage as well. On top of having like 19 with Impervious. It's getting out of hand, I think. It's pretty ridiculous. But then when Dark Britain is KO'd, choose a friendly character. For the rest of the game, that character can use the wing symbol, toughness, willpower, and super strength. So when he's KO'd, a friendly character gets all that stuff for the rest of the game. So, you definitely don't want him to be KO'd, but if they put all that time and energy into actually killing him, then you're going to be able to give a big boost to one of your friendly characters, so that's always nice. Charge, Flurry, and Improved Movement for Hindering is cool for that 11 movement. Then in the middle of his dial there, he gets Blades, Claws, Fangs, and when he hits after resolutions, choose 1, remove an action token from him, or heal him 1 click. If the target has the X-Men keyword, choose both. Ooh, that's really good. The ability to just keep charge, flurry, bladesing, and being able to heal or take a token off, especially, so you can keep doing it over and over again. It's really awesome. A very, very solid 140 point character for sure. And he also has a lower point line, this time only 30 points, where he starts with that charge, flurry special, and the blade special, and some exploit. Really mean 30 point character for sure. Charge, flurry, blades, or charge, blades, and exploit, and potentially removing an action token every time. And then he just gets regular steel energy there at the end. So a really powerful figure, and much more likely to be KO'd to give somebody flight, toughness, and willpower and super strength if you need to do that. So I really like both point lines for him. But moving on, next we have Kakoa, who can be either 40 points or 125 points. So we'll take a look first at the 125 point line. Improved targeting for hindering and blocking. If Kakoa is 40 points, he is KO'd when he crosses the red line, protected pulse wave. So that's going to be one of the ones where he's only going to get the first couple clicks, and then he's going to be KO'd, or he's going to get the full dial. Those kind of characters, I feel like I prefer the 40 point line version, just because you still get the first 2 clicks either way. It's just that if you pay more points, you get more clicks after that, which is a little bit different from the norm. And I mean, in this case, he does get really powerful there at the end. He goes up to a 12 attack, 5 damage with some Quake and some Battle Fury. I still think the 40 point line is going to be better. He starts with an 8 range triple target and Incapacitate, some 13 movement with Stealth, 18 Invincible, and 1 damage with some support, and he's Indom. He also has, at the beginning of the game, generate 5 safe haven hindering terrain markers anywhere on the map, at least 5 squares from any starting area and each other. Friendly characters with the X-Men keyword that are adjacent to Kakoa or occupy one of his safe haven markers have power. Place this character adjacent to Kakoa or in the square of one of his safe haven markers. And then friendly characters with the X-Men keyword have improved movement hindering. So that's great. Just giving improved movement hindering to all of your X-Men characters is going to be super helpful. And then being able to teleport around the map is going to be great. It is a power action, so unless you have like a free action to be able to do after that, there's not a whole lot else you're going to be able to do. But still, just being able to teleport around the map like that is potential to be huge in the mid game to get in and out of a fight as necessary. He also has phase, teleport, poison, smoke cloud as free. Smoke cloud as free action is always super helpful. And having phase, teleport, and poison is great too. And then when an opposing character within range uses Outwit, Perplex, or Probability Control, Kakoa can use that power until the end of your next turn. Ooh, that's so good. Within his range. He doesn't have to see them then. He has an 8 range. So yeah, I don't see any reason not to use this guy at 40 points over 125. Because he's still going to be able to do all that stuff for only 40 points. Definitely a must-have, I think, for the 40-point line. Coming up next, we have Rasputin, who starts with 11 movement charge, 11 attack blades, 4 damage exploit, and 18 with invincible. A lot of like 4 damage blades characters too. I don't really like to roll blades if I have over a 3 damage, but at least now you have you can't do more than 1 less than you're printed, so it's going to be able to do 3 no matter what, so it's not that bad. Improved movement for hindering, blocking, and characters, so she can actually just go straight through blocking. She doesn't destroy it, she just like kind of phases through it. Mutant Chimera, when she uses the X-Men team ability to heal another character, they replace their damage value with 4, or their damage value becomes 4, I'm pretty sure it's the replacement. And then when another character, of course, heals her, then she gets their printed attack and damage values, just like the other Mutant Chimeras we've seen, but they all do something different when they heal somebody else. Another trait gives her energy, shield deflection, and super senses, and at the end of your turn, choose a side of the square she occupies until your next turn. Lines of fire that cross that side of the square are blocked. That's so good. Energy, shield, super senses, and can pick a side of your square to become blocked as if there's a wall there, essentially. And then starting with an 18 with invincible on top of that, she's very well defended. And she can move through hindering, blocking, and characters, which is really good for a close combat fighter like her. And then she also has healing factor. When Rasputin clears action tokens, heal her 1 click. So whenever she clears tokens, you get some healing. She has some really good damage reducers the whole time. Really high stats. Definitely worth 125 points. And just like all these characters, She's got a lower point value for 65 points. Not bad. Starts with sidestep, precision, and some close combat expert. Definitely like the higher point line better than this one. I wish, yeah, because only 4 clicks. It is only 65 points, so it's not that horrible, but I would like to see a 5th click or a stop click or something. But she's gonna, you know, heal. She has a lot of, you know, energy shield, super senses, invincible. So I'd definitely say she's still worth it for 65 points. Very, very cool figure nonetheless. And then we have Binary. We did take a look at her in one of our preview videos as well. 8 range double target, 11 movement with hypersonic, 11 attack pulse wave, 18 invincible, 4 damage with prob, cosmic energy and X-Men team abilities, 175 points. She has protected pulse wave, which is really great. And then once per turn, when she KOs an opposing standard character with an attack after resolutions, she can use Pulse Wave at no cost as if she occupied a square the KO'd character occupied. So that's really cool. She could like hypersonic in, shoot somebody, hypersonic back, and then if she KO'd that character, she could use Pulse Wave as if she occupied that square, potentially hitting a bunch of their, you know, supporting figures and stuff. So has potential to do tons of damage with that. And then later on, she gets Energy Explosion and Penetrating Psychic Blast and Poison. Those don't really combo at all. None of her powers really combo great. I mean, except for when she gets the running shot, she can use Energy Explosion or Penetrating Blast. But, I mean, nonetheless, still good stats and powers, the whole dial. And, you know, she's Power Cosmic, essentially. So she's a very solid figure. But in this set, we've seen 2 other 175-point characters that, in my opinion, were much better. That would be Juggernaut and Emperor Vulcan. And she again has a lower point line for 100 points. I'm never playing this 100-point dial. I've already said it a few times. She only has 4 clicks and she's 100 points. Not gonna happen. I mean, she's protected Pulse Wave, she's protected Outwit, that's all great. You can still Penetrating Blast her for 4 damage and she's dead, okay? Running Shot, Penetrating Blast is fine, and then you could Pulse Wave as if she occupied that square. So, not horrible, but I wouldn't risk it. And then the last thing we have here, because we've already taken a look at the whole entire Fast Forces. If you guys haven't seen that, go check out the Fast Forces First Look video. But the last figure we're going to take a look at today is the number 100 Rogue, which is going to be in the Play at Home kits. And we've taken a look at her before, but we're already here, so why not? She starts with Running Shot, 11 attack, Penetrating Blast, 4 damage, some 18 invincible. She's 100 points, and she also has the Cosmic Energy and X-Men team abilities as well. So pretty solid dial there. She's got Excalibur for the Mystics and Protected Mystics. She's got a trait that when she KOs an opposing bystander after resolutions, KO all opposing bystanders. That's the main reason I really like her. If you're going against one of those kinds of people that's playing a huge bystander generating team, or even if you're using the Kakoa Revival trait, and you're giving your opponent a lot of bystanders for, you know, having activated that so many times, then just the fact that she can just KO any one of them and KO every single bystander on their team is really, really awesome. And then she also has a cool sideline active trait that if a friendly character named Rogue KOs a higher point opposing character, roll a d6, and if the KO'd character was 100 or more points, increase the result by +1, and on a 6 or more, you can replace that Rogue with this character on the same click number. So that's the main reason I would play like that 60-point Rogue, just to be able to try and KO like a 100-point character with her and have a chance at pulling this Rogue in off the sideline. Not a very good chance even then, but you know, why not? Worth it if you're playing a Rogue to just have her with you. But that's gonna do it. So we now know all of the figures in the set, and I think it shaped up to be quite an awesome set. Almost every figure is great. There's a couple misses in this set for me that, like, really, Havoc I think was the one that stood out to me the most. It's like a, you know, push him to Pulse Wave, but even then, there's much better figures in the set for less points. So I mean, off the top of my head, I can't only think of, like, you know, 1 or 2 characters that are really pathetic compared to the rest of the set, which I think is really freaking awesome. So I think overall, this set is like 9.9 out of 10 is really, really good, and I definitely recommend picking some up because I'm going to try to do the same. But that's going to do it for this video. Again, if you guys enjoyed it, make sure you smash that like button for me, and please let me know in the comments what you guys think of this whole review type of series. Would you guys like longer videos all smushed together in one big video, or smaller videos cut up into just commons, just uncommons, just rares, etc.? let me know, because I want to make this channel better all the time, you know? And so don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of these awesome videos. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel even more, there's links in the description to our Patreon. Make sure you check that out. You can see your name here in the credits and get a big thank you. Huge thank you to all of our Patreon patrons so far. But that's gonna do it again for this video. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.